you join me where things have escalated into the most hateful job you can imagine. I'm not exactly doing bodywork as such, but you would have seen in the last video, or this video, where we currently are, depending on how to Marvel keep up with their own timeline. This is hard enough. Our engine bay looks like this. This is bad, and I don't care that much, but I care a little bit. So we're now this far. I've just savaged this with a DA, and I've got some nice lines there, so I'm just going to put a little skim of filler over that. I bought a new toy. This is a da, which means it goes that way and that way. It spins and oscillates. The other thing I thought we'd just do over here is I've just skimmed, I mean these are pretty good anyway, but that feels okay. Like I said, I don't think I'm going to paint it. Well, I'm definitely not going to paint it, I don't think. It's unequivocal for you, isn't it? What I think I am going to do is probably wrap it, in which case I'm sure we can get away with some sins. But it wants to be smooth. Main thing, I don't want that horrible, like, funny surface, which I know you probably won't be able to see, but in my mind it will be there. Then I'm going to scuff up this with a glue on top as well, and then we'll probably just paint, I don't know, paint all of it, or I might stop there, just so it's all fairly uniform. We'll see how good the black matches, but don't worry, I'm not going to film it all. You won't have to skip, because bodywork's boring doing it, let alone watching it, let alone watching someone who's rubbish at it doing it. So now is filler, and then some more sanding. Working on these cars really is a voyage of discovery, and in that I've just discovered the heater blower inside this little box, so I thought I'd just see if it worked. And yes, it does. Though it may not be very happy. Oh, you're at a jaunty angle. So that was the supply function on my C-Tech, and I don't think it really wanted the amperage of that. But it worked, it moved, so we'll plug it back in, and yeah, that should be alright. These are great, by the way. It's a CTXM XS7, which obviously doesn't supply enough amperage for that heater blower motor. Ooh, where are you going? There you go. Which obviously doesn't supply enough amperage for that, but it's got a supply function, which is brilliant for testing relays and stuff like that. Slight segue. So I'll put that back together, and then we will carry on. I'm sure that's alright, right? I should have cleaned my working surface some more. Oh well. I'm sure it's good enough for an engine bay. Now, if you watched Wheeler Dealers, what is it? It's a golf ball to a pea. Yes. Listen to Ed. That's probably about right. The only thing I can tell you about bodywork, because I'm using U-Pol Fanta filler, which is really good because it's a lot easier to sand than P38 and a lot cheaper, because when you're really bad at this sort of thing you get through a lot. It's difficult one-handed. Just remember though, don't put too much on, because you have to just sand it off again. You better do small layers, and don't forget you need plenty of bodywork which is Hazy Jane on this occasion. Right. I don't have long because it's very hot. I've chosen the hottest day of the year so far to do this because I'm cleverer. Unbelievable. Better. Okay. You do body work, it just looks like you've done nothing, doesn't it? So now I'm going to mask up. Looking at that, there should be colour, I'm guessing, there. So I might just mask here, and then etch prime the filler, and then we're just going to paint this nozzle section black. We'll see how well it blends into the rest. To save you any more musical time lapses, what we did here is just you want to etch prime over bare fiberglass and then etch prime over bare filler. Then went over the whole thing with a grey primer, which is the same make as the top coat we're using, which is all Simil's stuff. Now I'm a complete novice and I'm really quite poor at this, but the only advice I can give you is just do nice long straight strokes, overlap them by about a third, and just make it consistent and go in the same direction wherever you can, and you get a passable kind of finish. And then went over that with the black satin paint, which I think, as you're about to see, is quite a good colour match for that engine bay. What's that Santana song that was in the M&S adverts? I think that looks pretty swish for an engine bay. Very happy. That's the Simil's acrylic black, which is a very good match. Maybe gloss would be a better match, but either way, I'm sure you will agree that is a monumental improvement. Also, many things have arrived. Go down there. Many things have arrived. We have, hopefully, the right crank sensor. Sebastian, it's called. That's Sebastian, the crank sensor. We have the water temp sensor for either the ECU. Can you still see? For either the ECU or the dash. And we have this temp sensor for the other one. Then we have, that will be air temp sensor. They are my little terminals for the 35mm cable, hopefully. Sorry, 16mm, not 35. That was a random bracket I bought because it was really cheap. Turns out it is one I need. It's the one for the throttle cable. Banjo bolt for the fuel union this end, and I still don't know which other ones I need. The wrong banjo bolt that doesn't fit the steering rack, and then 2 lambdas. They are the Land Rover lambdas, because I don't believe all this stuff about you have to fit the ones where they've ripped it apart and filled it with different insulation. So I'm going to try and get some heat wrap for them. Clamps. Do I use the clamps? cats. Meow. Very cheap cats from BM Catalysts. I want to talk cats. So, you have to have them. They're a legal requirement. No one would ever remove them, obviously. No one would ever remove them, obviously. But I've been reading some different things about what a type approved cat is, because the type approved cats for these are 500 quid-ish, and non-type approved are 100 quid-ish. And there's lots of... it's a standard thing, isn't it? Forum, every single comment you read is completely different. So, what I did was I just phoned BM Catalysts and asked them. Well, I dropped them an email, more accurately, because I'm a young person, I don't use phones, apparently. Now, it's actually a very simple answer. There is no difference in quality. This is what the man from the technical bit of BM Catalyst told me. There is a very slight difference in the makeup of the precious metals inside there, because post-2001, OBD2 came in, and that's why they had to change them. Also, the law states you must have a type-approved cat if your car is post-2001. This is not. It's also not OBD2. I don't think any of them are OBD2, are they? They certainly don't use an OBD2 plug. Anyway, it's pre-2001, it doesn't have to have a type-approved cat, so you can use the other ones. There is no difference in quality. That's what he told me. Do with it as you see fit. But that is from the horse's mouth, as it were. Did anything change on the way these cars ran between 2000 and 2001? I highly doubt it, because it was TVR. But technically it should have, and that is the difference. So there we go. He said you can use a type-approved cat on an older car, but you cannot use an early cat on a later car. That's what the law states. But anyway, we have a plethora of things to fit. I will start off with a fuel union. Exciting. As you may imagine, this was hard to film, especially that damn fuel rail connection that sits underneath the wiper arms and all of that scuttle stuff. But anyway, we got that done. There's an M16 fuel rail bolt banjo. The only other important thing to note is you've got those two coolant temperature sensors I mentioned. There's one towards the back of the engine, and that one is for your ECU, and then the one with the little fly lead on it goes on the front sort of the two of the engine underneath your throttle bodies, and that one is for the dashboard. That sensor also does, or as in that is the same sensor that does your oil temperature sensing on the inside the bottom of the oil tank, and some other stuff. I think there's some air temperature sensors somewhere as well. Specifically, I think if you have aircon, that temperature is used in some other places as well. I don't have aircon, so I just have those two. Okay, everyone. It's been a bit. So we have temp sensor. I'll tidy all this away once everything's connected. Temp sensor. Crank sensors down there. There's also a main ground to the ECU. We've got our new fuse. I need to change that. I'm going to cut that down and that'll be mounted, I think, probably down there. That can be tied back. We've got our main fuel, and then that's our return. And from photos it just looks like it's a piece of soft line between there and there, which is probably not great, but there we go. I've got a resistor to fit here, but I'm not quite sure where, so I put out a call for assistance on that. There is another one of this type of sensor in the oil tank, which we need to fit with the oil tank, and then we've got the air sensor to fit in the air box. I also forgot to get a belt for the alternator, and actually a little pipe for the power steering as well. But we're getting there, looking good. I don't really know what the stepper motor is. I think stepper motor, that's air temp, sorry. There's a stepper motor cable here somewhere as well. That one. I think that was something to do with aircon, but we'll tie that up out of the way. Okay, cool. Right, redo that and get rid of that. That is just where it went through the body. The cable's not burnt. You see the copper's all clean, but we're going to cut that off anyway. Mount that next. Then I can tidy up all the cables once I know what I'm doing with the alternator wiring, and then we can move on to oil lines. These are lambda sensors, and they're very, very small. Obviously matches the tiny exhaust. And they fit! They're Discovery, early 3.5 Rover is what they are. Come on, darling. Which they all are, that is correct. These are the 3-wire sensors, like an M10 or M12 thread or something. And then the 4-wire one's like an M16, I believe. And they have those funny plugs. Oh! Why are you doing that? So the idea with these is, 1, I think we'll wrap the cats, and then 2, I want to put a heat shield over these, because in my mind, the ones that people charge £1 million for just have apparently more insulation in them. So why not just put it on the outside? And it'll be a lot cheaper. Don't know. Maybe you don't need it at all, I don't know. I've left my spanners on top of the car. I believe you can fit the... Well, I've been told you can fit the 4-wire sensors to a 3-wire car if the junction cable is an earth. Or something. Oh, there we go. But you can't if you've got the early manifolds, because, like I said, 3 wires are an M12 thread, not M16. Obviously these will be unplugged again, but let's just make sure. We'll plug them in for now. They're horrible, aren't they? I need to check the wiring actually, because one of those is for one bank. Lambda odd and lambda even. What is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? What's odd and even out of? They come with both. We'll figure that out later. We're going to have to unplug it anyway. They can just go there for safekeeping. That's one more ticks box. Wiring. Look at the state of that. These are the plugs that fit to the fans, and they're just unsealed, crappy Molex connectors like the rest of the car. Not Molex connectors, like spade connector things. What on earth, why would you fit something like that in a place that gets weather? What we're doing is fitting these very nice Delphi Metra packs. If you watched the bike video, you will know about these, because they're actually good. Very simple, he says. And they consist of a few parts. So we have our seals first, then we have our little crimps. Now the best way I've found to do these is to just squash start them off with a pair of needle nose pliers. Get your right side on that, and then I've been doing 2 little crimps, start it off, and then just go ham, really. Oh. Give it a tug test, mind out the gutter, and then we're going to slide our seal forwards. These are from 3-Way Components in Luton, and they sell them on eBay, so easy to get hold of. Again, start it off with that. I could probably do with a better pair of pliers, if I'm honest, but then just... there we go, and that will hold that on. Rinse and repeat. Okay, so that's that bit. Then we have our outer sheath, and this is where you really feel the difference. If you've used cheap versions of these, then it's a different world. Because, did you hear that? You show me a cheap Chinese one that locates the prongs like that. And this side you want to do dead side, as it were, because as you can see, if it was unplugged you could short those out. And that's it. Other side is exactly the same. Oh no, I lied. We then have these. This is such a good design as well, because it's not another thing you have to slide on prior, it goes on afterwards. And they are usually completely missing from cheap ones, and that retains the seal. There you go. And they also ensure that your prongs are all in the right place. Then we need to remove them. Really easy. Pick down there and push it back out. Future proof. Look. We have our little connectors. We have a pipe. We have the cooler cleaned out and fitted. It would not, if I bent it round straight, with those pipes on, even sort of adjusting, it would not sit right on that mount. Remember, this was one that had knackered threads in it. I don't think that it's the fact that they're now M8 makes any difference. It's just if I bent it over that way, we ended up with the pipe down there towards the end of the outlet. But anyway, for figure out, I can always take that little plate off. It's only bolted down. Got another one down there. That's a faff. We just need to sort of tie those down. It doesn't look that neat, but then I can't really do much with this one. I think really this pipe should be maybe a lot longer and then come around that side, but anyway, shouldn't make any odds. That's the orientation if anyone else is doing this. So that one goes to there. That goes to the other side of the rack, so that basically puts fluid in each side of a seal, and that helps you move your steering back and forth. That's to the reservoir, and that's over to the pump. Again, it's not very neat, but you can't do anything else with it because that union has to go like that, otherwise it blocks the pipe off here. Anyway, that's back on. M16, I think they're M12 banjos on there. But that's going well. Belts are on those. We need to get our other 2 oil lines. So that one goes down to there. Then you've got block up to the top of this oil tank, and then there's one more on there. Sorry, 2 more on that side. One goes to the oil cooler, one goes to the bottom of the tank, and that is next. Zooming about doing oil lines, which really have to be done in a certain bloody procedure, just on the basis that you can't then get to anything. But these are the ones I'm doing at the Mo. With some massive imperial spanners. fully tight. And then this is the fitting that I had made, which I hope will slot. I'm hoping that's where it should go. I'm not going to do it up anyway, we'll just, what's really important, do one side and then the other. All the oil pipes have the same fitting, which is that style, so that's standard hydraulic hose, apart from the bottom of the oil tank, which is a JIC style fitting. Like that. Otherwise they're all the same. They also have all various different ends, which is important because I don't think there is any particular rhyme or reason. So for example, I've had to put an adapter on the main out from the pump to go to the pipe I've got, because there's a 3/4 inch and an inch size pipe which goes onto here. Those part numbers are interchangeable, so I don't think it matters. Probably just whatever TVR had kicking about. I think I need to just cable tie that out the way as well. That's that main feed there for the power steering. It's just a world of cable ties, but probably best not to cable tie it where the anti-roll bar needs to go, which I now have, I think. Hopefully. Go something like that. Yeah. Should probably paint that as well. It actually came with some very brand new looking polyurethane bushes as well. I can't remember if I filmed it before. I did have one for this already, but it was a Cerberus one, and the Cerberus one is straight across here, whereas the T-car has a little whoop. And that's to miss the sump, and that's an even bigger spanner, which I don't have, I think. Oh my god! Okay, so that's on. I just get them to the point they're sort of snugging up. Because, trust me, you will need the movement. Right, when I got those last ones in, I'm going to zoom around with the camera. Now, oil cooler. This one that snakes through there, goes up to the connection above your filter. You then have this one that goes down to the top of the two connections on the block. Bottom of the connections on the block go to this one, which has a JIC fitting in the end, to the lower one on the big dry sump tank. And then finally, that monster comes up through here into the top connection on your dry sump tank. If you're anything like me, and if you're putting a car together that someone else took apart, that is good information, because I couldn't find that written anywhere. With other things that are down here, all the power steering garb, that is one line, it goes up to your reservoir. The other line on the reservoir goes there. The cable from the loom goes to the centre terminal on the alternator. They're still not connected because I need to put the pipe in for that to figure out where I can screw them to. You see we've got those lines in. Obviously it's a water to oil heat exchanger, so that goes there. I need two heater pipes. Thermostat's in there, and this goes to your coolant tank, which is probably next after the oil tank. it's had a rubber gasket rather than just being sealed on with silicone, and it's because it's removable for a reason. And it has a strainer which has that on it, which looks horrible, a little O-ring which seems fine, yeah, a little brass strainer. I guess that's because that's I don't know if it's either suction or feed to the pump, but that all looks fairly good. Just a couple of little bits in there we want to get out. Get out! Anyway, yeah, I'm assuming that it must be part of a... That must be part of the service. Mustn't it? Now, get out. There we go. Cool. So there you go. Clean that, I guess. Okay, so I did have to make a new little rubber gasket because that wouldn't work anymore. It's a bit thicker. Hopefully that'll be fine. I just wanted to bring you back because if, like me, you haven't bought a set of punches, get on and do it. It makes jobs like that so easy. I mean, that took like 5 minutes. Without those, it would have taken a lot longer, and you probably would have torn your gasket 45 times. They're just a set off Amazon. But for stuff like that, you don't need anything more, and they work great. So let's finish cleaning it up, and then get on with it. It's little things like that. You know, you think I'm going to get this done today, and then yeah, silly little things get in the way. I'm sure you'll agree. That's better. So that's all cleaned up, and then I've just given that a little coat. I think it goes that way in the car. Of this stuff, and that's the same stuff that goes on the just over the top of some of the electrical connections as well. Brilliant. Use most of your motorcycles, but just give it a brief spray, and then you just sort of wipe over the excess, and then when it goes off, it leaves like a kind of soft coat, but it stops a wet atmosphere, stuff like that. Just eating into the metal. Great stuff anyway, easy to apply, and a good finish. So, let's sort out the last pipes, get the car down, and we can fit that. We were cooking on gas for a minute there, and then I thought I'd just grab 2 bolts for the bracket that holds the oil tank in place. And it turns out they are the flattest bolts you've ever seen. So, what's the best way to cut down a bolt? Put a nut on it. Try using a sharp blade. Leave the nut on, grab a file. You now have a straight cut. Run the nut off. File a little lead, and then there you go. Symbols. But very easy to get wrong. Right, let's fit that to the car. It's currently 30 something degrees in the UK, to which the rest of the world has just laughed at the state of me. I'm also dressed up like a comic book lesbian because it's so hot. Anyway, I'm still waiting for some banjos for the fuel system, so I've just put the coolant system together and buttoned up the power steering. I'm also so hot I can't bother to find the right bit for this. if you're from other countries and you laugh at us in the UK, come here, because when it's hot, it's hot. I know we don't have the same numbers as you, but still, give us a break. Okay. So, anyway, lining all this up. Oil tank. I don't think you've seen that in yet, because we were doing it all from underneath and we're doing the fuel. So you do your oil first, because this tank forms the fixings for everything else. Never trust a thread on anything on a TVR is what I've learnt so far. Run a tap through it. That goes for any old car restoration actually. Right, so the order of this is all quite specific. Like I was saying, your oil tank forms the basis for all of this, so do that first. The reason they're all like this is because of the service bonnet. So it's standard TVR bolted down this bonnet so that no one ever looked at the engines between services, and when the fuel line broke they caught fire and you have to buy another one. So it's good marketing. No, I've no idea why it was bolted down. Stupid idea. A standard, this bit, the service bonnet covers this, and all you can get to are those, and that's why they're in that exact array. A pipe needs to go on that anyway. Oil tank first, and then, so there are pipes by the way, that's that gasket I replaced. There's a strainer in there, so you need to take that off on a service I guess. Big pipe down to that G-union, which is either inch or 3/4 inch. Then we have our oil cooler going to over there. This one, I mean it just runs through it, I don't suppose the actual order matters, but if you're using standard pipes it does. That goes over there. That goes under there. And finally, that JIC fitting on this tank, not the standard standard hydraulic fitting, goes underneath and round to the bottom one of those two. And that actually lines coolant through the heat exchanger. Coolant to this tank. Now, these two sit on the same bracket. I bet you can't see what's annoying me, can you? I haven't got one that big. This bracket holds power steering and overflow, coolant, expansion tank even. That goes there, that goes there. Put those on first because they're quite rigid and it's going to have to be in a position. Then do up the hose clip. For the PAS lines, that one goes to the rack, that one goes to the pump, and they're two different sizes. I think that's it. Still need to get a couple of squishy mounts for the front of the rad, which we might clean up a little bit, but I'm not too worried. You're hardly going to see it with the bonnets on. I'm going to do the flip front conversion, so the whole bonnet comes up, which means basically the whole bonnet will pivot here, so you're only really going to see the actual engine bay and this bit anyway. I'm going to nip the belts up. I've ordered some new belts, but they'll run fine for now. And then I've got to do some adjustment all back there, tidy the wiring up, because I need to make the bracket for the back of the airbox as well. And then after that, the engine bay is done. Did you hear that? Something's done. Scary. Oh, and that pipe, by the way, that's part of the breather that goes off to the, might be that hole there, or it's the hole in the top of the airbox, one of the two anyway. Then the only other thing I've got to do is just work out the vacuum and breather lines. There's two ports here that go into like a Y joint usually. I think that goes into the airbox because that's vacuum, isn't it? I mean that's after the throttle plate vacuum. I don't really know what they're for. That plug hanging off is stepper motor. And I don't think I have one. Possibly. But yes, not doing too much watching on a lot of these things. It's very, very tedious work, and really you want to just see whether it runs or doesn't, don't you? Like me. That's where one of the vacuum lines goes. There's a vacuum line that goes along the top of the engine down there, and again we need to figure out where that goes. Okay. And when the banjos appear from the Jungle website, we will finish the fuel system off as well. I haven't turned the key yet. When I first turn the key, I want to see if everything works at once. It won't. Just a cute clue there, it probably won't. Yeah. It's also so hot, I don't know how much more I can do today. I should have painted that, shouldn't I? Anyway. Side quests. We don't want side quests, we want main quests. So you'll rejoin me when I've probably cleaned up a bit of that, maybe?